Hello, welcome back. I'm Darren, and today I'm just going to just go through like my last couple of videos. And just point out. I just want to clear up a couple of things. I woke up this morning, and first thing I did was obviously look at my phone, look at my notifications, and I kind of noticed that this guy decent guy on my channel that just loves stirring, just causing trouble, C5, and it appears that obviously overnight FSR 3.1 had launched, which is actually interesting because it was only the other day I was actually talking about where is FSR 3.1. I'd heard quite a lot about it a while ago, and admittedly I was slightly concerned that FSR was suddenly going to be, or put it this way, I was worried that it might be something that would use like AI upscaling or something like that. And it made me wonder if it might be something that was going to be tied into the next generation. So I don't even know how to keep up with the naming schemes now. So RDNA 4, would that be? So the 8800 XT or whatever it ends up being. 8000 series, let's go with that. So when I saw that this morning, I was pretty shocked because it's like, that's strange. I was only talking about it the other day and here it is. Okay, cool. This is good news because this is what everyone wants. I'm like, awesome. Like I said, guy on my channel saying, I trust your opinion. Why you trust my opinion? I don't know. Hopefully I'm as honest as what I can be. So he said, can you look into it because it's getting hugely hyped. Okay, no problem. So I kind of thought, okay, I'm not going to test it right now because I'm still in bed. And I kind of started going through, like, obviously the videos, that were obviously loads of videos, loads of content overnight. For me, obviously, this side of Europe, of content of FSR 3.1. And to say the hype was insane is an understatement. I saw so many videos saying that it was as good as DLSS. So I'm like that's a major improvement. It's a big statement and it's a big improvement. So I need to check this out. So obviously I typed in Google FSR 3.1 just to see how many games it had launched into and kind of what the score was, and unfortunately instantly found out that pretty much every game that it launched in was a PlayStation title, and those are something that doesn't. I mean, some of those, I don't own any of those games. They're not of huge appeal to me. The probably only game that I would like to own out of those games is Ghost of Tsushima, or however you pronounce it. And I can't, because without a PS5 account, I'm region locked out of that game, which still angers me. There are ways around that I could probably sort it out, but do you know what? There's other games out there. If that's the game that PlayStation want to play, I'm not playing their game. So moving on from that, I kind of went onto Steam, thought, okay, out of all of those titles, I did kind of ponder with Horizon, whatever, Forbidden West, is it? I played the first game for about 10 minutes. I think I bought the first one in sale, and I actually bought it for my son, and he never actually was that interested in it. I played it for about 10 minutes just to set up. I think I bought it when I built a 4070 machine, and I wanted to use it to kind of set the system up. And I thought, out of all those games that are available, that it's FSR 3.1 is available in, that's probably the most likely that I'd have interest in. So I looked on Steam, it was on sale. It wasn't on a huge sale, but it was discounted enough that I thought, okay, it wasn't my intention to buy this game, but whatever, I want to check this out. The hype is pretty big, so it must be pretty good. And to just kind of clarify, it clearly I haven't tried because I don't own any of these games. I can't compare the version before, so I don't want it to look like, I don't want to give someone like a misinterpretation of what these videos were about. They weren't about comparisons of obviously what it was like before, but at the same time, when Horizon Forbidden West launched, which wasn't that long ago, I remember a lot of people stating that FSR was incredibly good in it, and rival to DLSS as it was. So I wasn't sure exactly. Put it this way, when they said that it was as good as DLSS, I kind of thought it would be, because from what I'd read previously and from the content I'd seen previously, it sounded as if it wasn't far off DLSS in the previous version. So I didn't know, I had no idea what to expect, other than there was a lot of hype. So I loaded into the game, and the first thing I did was I loaded in with the 4080. Now I know some people might have an issue with that, but watch my other content, it will become clear. So I loaded in with the 4080, and the first thing I did was set everything to maximum, turned off frame gen, turned off any blur, like motion blur, or I think there's a random other blurring something, and turned on FSR 3.1. Well, I say FSR 3.1, I wasn't even sure at the time, because it only stated FSR 3. So I ran with it for literally the exact start of the game, and the first thing I came across was a waterfall, and the water coming down from the waterfall, I thought, well, that doesn't look great. But I am at 1440p, and I have been very negative about 1440p because I'm used to 4K. So I thought, okay, maybe that's just a 1440p thing, no problem. I'll switch it back to native and check it out. And then when I switched it back to native, I thought, okay, that looks a hell of a lot better. Interesting. Flicked it across to DLSS. That looks a hell of a lot better. Switched it back to FSR. Didn't look particularly good. Thought, okay, maybe I've downloaded this game and it hasn't downloaded the updated version. So I quit it, went back into Steam, checked through the game, checked through the logs, and it's like, well, no, it appears to have obviously installed everything that needs to be installed. Any new updates and everything should be there. So obviously I went back into the game, checked it again, and obviously if you've kind of watched any of the videos, you'll see I've not played that game. I don't even know the buttons or the controls. It's a new game to me. It was in a starting area, so I kind of looked at that kind of area, noticed that the water didn't look very good, and then there was a bit of ghosting, nothing crazy. And then obviously I thought, right, I'll stop the recording here, and then I'll just try and get to somewhere where there's like a more detailed type of foliage or something, long grass or something like that. The type of things that you get a lot of shimmering and a lot of aliasing, maybe some kind of fine details like like fence lines and that type of fine lines that can tend to shimmer. But as I literally dropped down to the next area where there was more water and more water, I noticed that instantly, okay, water is an issue. I don't want to obviously give anyone the wrong impression. I hope that I have got FSR 3.1, because the problem is I've now looked at a lot of other content and it doesn't seem that anyone else has brought this up, and I thought instantly, okay, how fussy am I? Because this wasn't me dropping it down to like performance or ultimate perform. Do you know what I mean? This was me at 1440p at quality, and I thought this is instantly this is really noticeable. And put it this way, obviously with YouTube compression, recording compression, everything that goes on with the video, what I see is a lot clearer than what you see at the other end. So I'm like, something must be wrong here, because this is being like seriously hyped, and instantly this came across to me as, really? No one else has noticed this? Am I special, or is something gone wrong? I still don't know. Is something gone wrong? Have I not got the update? It would actually be handy if they labelled it as 3.1 in the menu, so you actually knew. Now, I've looked at other people's content and I've seen them go into the menu, and it appears that when they flick it on, it still says FSR 3. So I can only guess that I'm right in what it is. At the same time, I don't want to it seems like I feel like I'm kind of making it out to be a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. I can't do this stuff without being fussy, without being picky, but I don't feel like I was particularly being picky. I thought it stood out. The waterfall was kind of what the waterfall was. That part at the start wasn't a massive deal. The ghosting wasn't huge. When I got down to the lowest part where my tutorial prompt wasn't coming up and no button was doing what it was supposed to be doing, so like the lower part where I finished the recording, it looked terrible. Like, I actually thought, this is actually like stands out, like, because the rest of the image looks very good. So to me, so far, like, what I will say is I'm kind of I don't mean to be, but I'm quite negative towards 1440p, because I've been into 4K, and now 1440p, obviously there's no way around it, it doesn't look as good as 4K, and in some games by quite a lot. Now, I loaded up this game and native 1440p, I'm like, this actually looks really good. Like, I felt bad. It's like I'm being really negative towards 1440p in probably my last 5 or 6 videos. Yet here I am, and I'm like, yeah, this actually looks really good. Now, I haven't tried it in 4K yet. Maybe I might change my mind. Maybe I'm just getting used to the 1440p monitor again because I've been running it for a week. I'm not sure. But it looked really good. So this stood out to me massively, because the rest of the image looks very, very good. It looks not far off what native looked like. I noticed that when I'm moving with FSR 3 compared to native, you do get kind of a bit of a motion blur that you don't get with native. So that's kind of one thing, but it's when we're talking very slight. But when you're stationary, the actual image, to me, doesn't look that far off native. It looks very comparable. Like, you'd probably have to have two very much side by side and be really nitpicking. But the water looked like it's rendered at 480p. It doesn't belong on the same image. It looks really bad. So that might get changed overnight. Like, literally tomorrow they might have done an update and it's been changed, and I hope that's the case. I'm not trying to forcefully be negative, but at the same time, I don't like seeing something overhyped in the way of it's almost lying to people. Okay, and I want to make that very clear. I don't judge a product by the name that's stamped to it. I judge a product by the product. I buy my products by the product. I don't care what name is stamped into the plastic of my product. It doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm not going to be that person. I might look like that person, and there's no way that I can't look like that person, because When you pick a product that you think is the better product, people will say that you are shilling for that brand. I'm not. If you think that, it's a free world. You can think whatever you want. I'm choosing a product that I am putting against another product, and to me, I think one product performs better than the other. If there's no choice, it has to have a brand attached to it. I can't change that unless I write in marker pen that it's a different brand and make people believe that and make myself believe that. So I kind of want to make that clear. If I wake up tomorrow and there's a new update for it and the water suddenly renders at 1440p like the rest of the image, awesome. Because I've stated for a long time, my problem with the AMD GPU, forget ray tracing. Ray tracing does come into it, but not to the point of, not as big a deal as what FSR does. And the reason for that is I bought the AMD purposely to go on my racing system, and on my racing system I don't care about ray tracing. I'm not playing Alan Wake or Cyberpunk on my sim racing rig. The problem is I am using FSR in it, or I'm not using FSR in it because DLSS looks a lot better, so I'm using DLSR, and that's where the problem comes in. So other than that, it's an awesome system, but it is, unfortunately for me, being fussy on visuals, it is let down by FSR. It's not in every game, and it's not always a big deal. But if you're really fussy about something and you have both products available, like I have both products available, if one does look quite bad and one looks really good, what else do I do? Like, I'm literally like, well, I'm doing myself a disservice, really, because I'm kind of, even in a racing game, I'm looking at things and I'm like, well, that doesn't look very good. And on my other system, it looks better. And you kind of, when you are a visual person, those things stand out to you. And I can't help that. I wish I wasn't, but I am. Which is why I've stated, if you're an FPS person, these things don't bother to you. But at the same time, if you've only got an AMD GPU, enjoy the game. It still looks really good. If you've got something as powerful as this, just run it native. Because now I've pointed it out for you, and I apologise to anyone that I've just burst their bubble, because now I've pointed out something that they can no longer unsee. Just run it native. It looks really good native. I don't think there's a huge... I'm not sure. I didn't really take notice of if it had like a massive uplift. I don't think it's got like an Unreal Engine, like a lot of the other Unreal I don't even know what engine it's on. I don't think it's on Unreal Engine 5. I'm pretty sure Horizon used their own engine. Is that right? I don't know. Did it come up with Frostbite or something at the start? I don't know. I'm not a... Do you know what I mean? I don't give game reviews. I don't really... I'm a hardware person. So a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games, you can almost add on some like upscaling and you can almost see a double improvement in your FPS. I don't think that was anywhere near that. So if you're on lower hardware, use your upscaling, just ignore it. Just pretend it's not there. If you're on high end, just run it native. I'm not sure. I haven't even tried frame generation. I'm not sure if you can use it. I'm guessing you can probably use it native with frame generation, and that's as long as you're obviously. I'd probably say with AMD frame generation if you're above 60. So I probably wouldn't use it till 70. If you're above that, run it native and just bang on frame generation. I haven't tried it. That might cause other issues. I don't know. I haven't got that far yet. I haven't got any further into the game. I haven't seen other things. So I have heard since I've put these videos out that the previous the previous FSR in that game wasn't particularly great. That goes against what I've heard. So I didn't know that until now. So apparently it has done some quite big improvements. So as I said, I'm not comparing it against the old version. I didn't play the old version. I've only downloaded the game today. There was no way of me being able to play the old version. So if it has had a big improvement, then great. I'm not comparing the previous version to the new version. I'm comparing, obviously, what is available now. So I've compared it on the NVIDIA GPU against, if I was running the NVIDIA GPU, would I use FSR or would I use DLSS? And without a shadow of a doubt, I'd use DLSS. I think actually XCSS still looked better. Not by a huge margin, and the fact that then I wouldn't be able to use frame generation. I think I don't think XCSS was a big enough advantage that I'd use XCSS and not have the ability to use frame generation. So I don't think I think I'd probably either run it. I mean, admittedly, no, I didn't try FSR. I'm not sure how it works. I'm gonna have to go back into it. I don't know if you can use TAA and FSR frame gen, or if you have to use FSR AA. I assume there's an FSR AA. You might have to use that and then use frame generation. I don't know. I don't know if it's completely decoupled and you can use DLSS plus AMD frame generation. I wish they'd give different naming for these things. So I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to try that. All I can go by is obviously what I've tested. So I just kind of wanted to put a video out there to just make it, pretty apparent. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to kind of shit on anyone's parade. I've seen some pretty big statements today, and I got up. I'd seen a message about someone that had pretty much said, look, can you have a look and maybe do a comparison? I trust what you say. And so I did that. It was the first thing I came across, and it doesn't look very good. If they improve it tomorrow, I wake up tomorrow, I see an improvement, I'm a happy man. Because, like I said, technology is technology. If these two different brands can really push each other, it's good for me. It can't not be good for me, and it can't not be good for you. If FSR catches up with DLSS, then maybe DLSS will get pushed further to improve, and then FSR will get pushed further to improve. Anything being the outright miles ahead of something else and staying that way just causes stagnation, and it causes complacency. Do you know what I mean? You don't want a manufacturer being like, we're the best and we're so far ahead and no one can compete with us, so we can just sit back and put our feet up and be happy in our glory. That isn't good for anyone. So I've yet again somehow managed to rabble on for nearly 25 minutes, so I'm going to end it there. I'm going to play the game. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I might actually do a bit of gaming and not actually record anything. So that said, I'll end it there. Hopefully I've kind of cleared anything up, and that said, I will catch you in the next one.